We're going to be spending a good bit of time now looking at a book called Arctic Lights and Arctic Nights by Debbie Miller. We've been studying shadows and the fact that throughout the day, the shadows begin short or begin long. They grow shorter as you get closer to noon, and then they get longer as you get closer to nightfall. So the idea that the angle of a light source, the angle of the sunlight hitting the earth, changes shadows, we're going to look at what else the sunlight's angle can cause. And so we're looking at the extremes, which is why we're going to go to the Arctics, the lights and nights in the Arctic. Today, you're going to need a sheet of notebook paper, and you will fold it in half this way so that it's kind of like you have the 2 pages of the book. I am going to want you to make an empty organizer for the 2-page spreads of this book, because there are some patterns, some things that you will see showing up again and again and again in this book. And I need to make sure that you can find those items before we study what they tell us. So today we are not reading the book. In fact, tomorrow we are not reading the book. We are focusing on the text, how it is set up. Some things you will notice, there is an introduction, but what I want you to look as we turn the pages, before I give you some ideas of what the empty organizer might look like, just stop and think. Okay, you see an illustration. The illustration is quite large. You see text. So you could just do a box that says text. But there's also some information across the top. I'd like you to watch that information as we turn the page. You will probably need to pause the video. Please do not email me and tell me you couldn't read it. Pause the video and take the time to read what it says across the top, because it's not part of the text, it's not part of the illustration. But look, you still have text, a lovely illustration. Gotta love that little bunny rabbit. But you also have information arranged across the top. Pause the video and look at that. We have another illustration. Boxes for text. There's information across the top. You should be beginning to see a pattern in that information. We have an illustration. We have text. But this information, you don't have to write the information down. What you should be looking at is how you could describe that information. Illustration, text. If you go back and look at this, August 21, September 21, October 21. What do we call it when there is a month and a day? Well, wouldn't we just say that is a date? The information next to it also is talking about the same thing. How would you describe that? Well, it's talking about how much. All right, you finish that word. Over here on this side. 1, 2. I'm going to put these two together. 28 degrees, 12 degrees, It's talking about, finish the word. I didn't leave myself enough space for the blanks. T-E-M. When you're talking degrees, you're talking about something. You finish that. This information, well, in your empty organizer, what would those be? And then we said basically all of this space actually is pretty much covers all of the space, doesn't it? So this all is one big and then usually there is a box with So you should label what this is showing. You should label what this box shows. And pay attention to these up at the top. What would you call them? So this is your empty organizer. As we look through a few more pages, think what it would take you to finish this. This is your assignment for science, to finish the empty organizer. As you look at a few more of these pages. Illustration and text. Does it still work to say the date is in the top left? Sure. Is this still telling how much of something? Yup. Is this still telling the same things? Is this still telling the whatever? I love the illustrations in this book too. Do you see that little guy hiding? Don't forget, you are looking at an empty organizer. How is the information organized on every page so that you can go back and get it tomorrow? This is a cutaway diagram showing you what the hibernation dens look like. What about the information here at the top? Still have an illustration with text. We're nearing the end. Information at the top. You should know pretty well by now what you have written down in this empty organizer. Just check these last few pages. Make sure that what you said the data is organized in, it truly appears that way on the page. There's text here. Uh-oh. We're missing some of that information that was on our empty organizer. Oh, no, we're not. So we've made it through a whole year. There is also a glossary at the end of this book that will be helpful. But your assignment today is to have your empty organizer filled out and sent to me. That is science for today.